manage cows individually, you need to be able to identify each of them. This is commonly done using e-tags and freeze brands. Another option that became widely available in the 21st century is electronic identification. Cattle producers in Australia have been using EID as part of the National Livestock Identification System since 2002. This is when it became mandatory for any cattle leaving their property to be tagged for traceability. Since then, EID functionality has been incorporated in other innovations that help automate the management of individual dairy cows. In 2018, 60% of dairy farmers in New South Wales had auto-drafting, bale feeding, inline milk meters or activity meters, which all require electronic cow ID to function. And 35% were using EID to identify cows at cups on, especially the larger herds. EID can also simplify milk recording for herds that have an antenna at the entry to the milking shed by using a handheld reader to accurately identify cows and link this to a barcode on the test flask. In this video, we'll cover how electronic ID works, which is the same for devices worn on the neck, ear, leg or in the rumen, the types of EID devices used in Australia, and advice from other farmers and service providers about how to get it to work for your farm. An electronic ID system is quite simple. It consists of the EID device and a reader. The EID transmits a number that is unique to each device, the ID part, at a particular radio frequency, the electronic part. Some people also refer to EID as RFID, radio frequency identification devices, or as transponders because they transmit and respond to electronic signals. EID are set at a radio frequency that is unlikely to affect other electronic devices used in and around the dairy. Clashes can occur, but they are rare. Radio frequencies are electromagnetic waves which can move through wood, brick, dirt and manure, but bounce off metal and don't travel well through water. Once the reader is in range, the microchip in an EID communicates with specifically designed equipment, typically an antenna, panel reader or handheld wand. As a general rule, larger antennas can detect smaller signals. The reader then converts the radio wave into alternating current. Readers are connected to a reader control box or receiver, which decodes the signal and sends it to a computer for processing by an app. The antenna needs to be tuned to the receiver at installation. NLIS tags are the most common form of EID on Australian dairy farms. These tags uniquely identify the property of origin as well as individual cows across their lifetime. NLIS tags are half-duplex passive transponders that receive then send their signals in short bursts. When the cow comes within range, the tags are activated by the signal from the antenna, and when the reader stops transmitting, they send their own code back to the antenna. This is the way a half-duplex microchip works. The devices are known as passive because they don't have a battery, which means they can work for years. Many of the technologies for individual cow management have been designed to work with NLIS tags. Activity meters are another form of electronic ID. They differ to NLIS tags in a couple of important ways. They have their own batteries and do not depend on the reader to supply the energy to transmit the radio signal. And you can, legally as well as practically, take an activity meter off one cow and reassign it to another. While farms in the TechKISS project were positive about technology, a couple had been disappointed that things were not working out as they had expected. For example, the reader at the entry to the platform wasn't reading the NLIS tags, or the EID wasn't operating the autodraft. Having a working EID system that quickly and accurately identifies cows is a prerequisite for all the cow management technologies. We've pulled the experiences from farms into some tips and traps that might help you get to a better outcome. The first tip is about EID readers. Antennae and other types of readers, whether they're at the entrance to the milking shed or in races or bales, should have the range and be in a position to reliably read cows, even if the cows have their heads turned away or are moving past it fast. For NLIS tags, The reader needs to be in a location that allows sufficient time to energise the tags before they need to be read. For rotary dairies, with the antenna on the entry bridge, having a long narrow entry ensures only one cow is in reading distance at any time. For dairies where the antenna is mounted overhead at the platform entry, having it located at least one bale towards the cups on position ensures cows can't move as they are held by the rump rail. The reader should be located so it is able to detect cows that go round the platform twice. And here's an innovative way of ensuring trouble-free antenna operation, using polypipe as an antenna guard. Being polyethylene means it won't interfere with the radio signal. It also stops cows from putting their head in the adjacent bale, reducing the potential for crossed ID. The next tip is about taking action to ensure nothing is interfering with the radio signal. Interference can be caused by other devices that transmit a radio signal or by an electromagnetic field. Electromagnetic interference, due to the operation of other electrical or electronic equipment, is the more common issue for farms, especially nearby cables that are not properly shielded or proximity to equipment such as variable speed pumps. Electromagnetic fields can also be an issue for equipment in close proximity to high tension power lines or cell towers. Having a site survey prior to the installation of antennas, or if you are having issues, to check that signal transmission is as expected can save a lot of time and angst in the long run. Now that we've dealt with the EID reader, the other side of accurate cow identification is the EID device. This seems basic, but it's essential that every cow is wearing an EID. Always putting tags in the ear on the right helps ensure devices are within the zone of detection of the reader. The device needs to be working, and it needs to be matched to the right cow in the computer, particularly when using activity meters that can be transferred from cow to cow. All of the farms participating in the TechKISS project had good visual cow ID as well as EID to make the day-to-day management easier. Last but not least, technology is not a set and forget. It needs oversight to keep working smoothly. The default position should be to expect some EID to fail, it will happen, and to have a way of picking up on issues quickly. This doesn't have to be a big job. It might be as straightforward as checking cow numbers and IDs on the daily milking reports, or regularly checking that data has been downloaded from all activity collars. Having someone on farm responsible for EID functionality is a good way of ensuring the appropriate checks and fixes are happening. Points to help you get your EID working are summarised as a checklist on a TechKISS topic sheet. You can use this to help discuss what's best for your farm when talking with your tech suppliers, service providers and other farmers. We hope this information has been useful. Other cow management technologies covered in this series include auto drafting, computerised bale feeding, inline milk meters and activity meters.